Okay. Mike Shinton, it's lovely to welcome you today. And I'm just going to say a little bit about you. You've worked in corporations for a lot of your life, I know that much, and you've since changed your focus quite dramatically. Now, I heard you give a talk a few weeks ago, and the thing that struck me most out of the talk that I heard was when you mentioned that you wanted to set up care homes for children across the country that really care. Now, why do you want to set up care homes for children?
Because I think, firstly, I think children are our most precious gift. You know, they truly are a gift from God. And children, orphans, children without parents, children who've been through the care system, have just been let down so badly in the past. You know, coming up to the present, and I just want to transform the way children without parents, children who need to be in care or have to be in care, are brought up. I want them to be brought up in an atmosphere of complete love and empowerment, and in the knowledge and awareness of who they really are. Because I know that we've all been dumbed down over the years, and we are so much bigger than we've been led to believe we are. You know, we've all been expected to conform. I've never wanted to conform and be the same as anybody else. I'm me, you know, and I want to be free to be me, and I want to bring these, or you know, set the environment so these young people, these children, can be brought up to be who they really want to be and who they really are. You know, be free to express themselves, and yeah, I've got big plans. And you said a chain of children homes across the country. I want to go global.
Fantastic. So how are you going to do it? I mean, you've got to get money together. I mean, have you got? I heard whisper that you'd got a team together already, or maybe you told me.
I've got an amazing team, and it's grown by one even today. But most of them came from, well, all but two came from the event that we were at 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I'm so glad I talked about the vision for my project there, because I just had a load of people, beautiful people, enthusiastic people, passionate people with love in their hearts who want to be a part of it. And we've got an amazing WhatsApp group where the energy is... It's a bit like being back, being back where we met, where the energy was off the scale. But the energy in this group is off the scale. So
I think that, you know, I feel that whenever people have a real passion to do something positive, the energy is incredible. And it's so lovely to hear you talk about that. So tell me a little bit more. How are you going to do it? What are you actually going to do to get this off the ground?
Charlotte, you're confusing me with someone who knows all the answers.
Okay. Well, if you don't know all the answers, that's just as good, because you have to go in sort of free flow and see you get you led.
I know some of the answers. I'm not a great detail person, but you know, I'm good at having a vision. So we're going to start with one, and going to purpose build a home for 12 children and 4 staff, but from a child's perspective, whatever that means. You know, when we interact with children, it's important, I think, to go into their world, not to expect them to come into our world, because their world is so much more fun than ours as well. So it's going to be built from a child's perspective. We've all got, you know, a child inside us, the inner child, and I like to connect with mine as often as possible. So I'm going to buy a piece of land, couple of acres minimum, get this house designed and built, but not just stop at the house. We're going to have, you know, gardens and vegetable garden, and maybe a zen or a peace garden as well for the children to go and chill out. We're going to have animals, obviously, and these children they're going to be brought up to learn the important things in life. You know, maybe not the stuff that children currently learn in schools. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, yeah, I
but
mean,
yeah, to be brought up in nature.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I was just thinking of something else. Yeah, are you going to, I love the idea that you're going to have gardens and sort of calming places, because so much, you know, the few things I've seen that people have done in terms of getting meditation into schools and helping children with their emotions and things like that, it's incredibly powerful. And they need it.
So important as well, you know, not just powerful. It's a vital piece of their education to connect with their inner selves and to learn from an early age. I've got an 18-year-old daughter who I love to bits. I've got a 32-year-old son as well, but I wasn't quite so enlightened when we had my son as I was when we had my daughter. And I brought her up, or tried to bring her up in the knowledge and awareness of the power that she has within, and she uses it all the time.
Fantastic.
She uses it all the time.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, it's when I think back to my own childhood, and I think back to how, as a child, you don't know. I'm thinking about emotions and feelings. You don't necessarily, you feel things, but you don't know what you're feeling. And you don't quite know what to do with those things. And one of my sort of real interests is trying to enable children to know what to do with their feelings and to know that it's okay to feel things, and then to have ideas of what to do with it. So, for example, if a child is very angry, that it's not a bad thing to be angry. It's actually perfectly fine to be angry. It's what you do with it that counts, and to maybe help them direct it into something. I mean, that to me, if I'd, you know, had that, I mean, my parents were great. I don't want to sort of down them at all, but I don't think you know, when I was growing up, we didn't really have the knowledge of how to express feelings or help children to express their feelings. And I think that's terribly important, because then you grow up as an adult, not having to relearn all of that.
I was lucky. I had a brilliant mother, and my dad was a good guy as well, but I had a brilliant mother. And she allowed me, you know, she taught me love, basically. She taught me love. And I also got my love of children from my mother, because she absolutely adored children. And I grew up in the Black Country, and there were lots of children my age, you know, around. And they all used to call my mother Aunt Iris, because she was like everybody's auntie. So I'm going to call my children's foundation the Aunt Iris Children's Foundation, you know, in her memory and in her honour.
Fantastic. Were you sort of all in, as children, were you all in and out of each other's houses? And you know,
and, you know, summer holidays, out all day, you know, didn't bother watching Hands to Eat and things like that. You know, it was just
fantastic.
Great fun.
That's what it needs to be, doesn't it? I mean, I think that sort of this, you know, that whole community thing where children, you know, go in and out of their friends' houses, and their friends' mums and dads are just as important to them, and their own mums and dads, and all of that. It's so nice. Yes.
And the other thing that I've seen quite a bit of lately is children going into old people's homes.
Oh, yeah.
And that, I mean, that's so beneficial. You know, the children love it. I'm getting better in not calling children kids, by the way. Just, the children love it, but the you know, the old people absolutely love it, because there's nothing more fun than being around children, is there?
No, exactly. And I mean, yes, I've seen some wonderful videos of old people. I mean, really sort of in their 80s and 90s, out in kind of on motorbikes or in these, you know, I mean, all doing all sorts of crazy things with younger people, and absolutely loving it. And you just think, well, actually, why shouldn't they? I mean, because an older person is basically a child in an older body with more experience. That's it.
I love the saying, you don't stop playing because you get old because you stop playing.
Oh, I think that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Yeah. There's so much. I mean, it's sort of, if you think about what we can offer children, that's really positive, that children haven't been offered. And obviously there are always good people around, and there are always people who look out for children and who want children to thrive. But the system that we've been dealing with for so long has not been good for that. I mean, the poor teachers, for goodness sake, I can't believe what they have to deal with, the red tape, and everything takes them away from what they really need to be doing, which is giving children, interesting experiences so they can learn and develop.
Yeah. But also teaching them how to think and not what to think.
Yeah. We're not really encouraged to think, are we? My God.
We're encouraged to conform.
Yes.
Forget that.
When I look back and I see, all the people who did well at school were the ones who ticked the right boxes.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you think, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Yeah. I've always been a bit of a maverick. I've never really been very good at doing what I'm told.
Which is why you're coming into your element now.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I've never felt so much on purpose as I do right now. I know that this is the right thing for me to do. And I know that I've got the right team around me. They're just amazing.
Yeah.
And the way that's come together, it feels so real now. Where it was a vision, it was an idea, it was a concept before, but it feels really real now. We're having our first Zoom meeting tomorrow to get to know each other.
Fantastic. But I mean, that is lovely, and may there be many more of these kinds of projects. I just think that if we can give children what they need, not what the system says they need, think what adults they can become.
Well, can you imagine if all children, going forward, are brought up in the knowledge and awareness of who they really are? We can change the world within 2 generations.
There's no question about that. Absolutely no question about that at all. Yeah.
The Jesuits used to say, give me the child until they're 7 and I'll give you the man.
Yeah.
And that's spot on, because up until the age of about 7 or 8, children have no conscious filters. So whatever they see, hear and experience goes straight into their subconscious mind, and becomes a program, if you like. And it's a set of beliefs. And I think it was, well, I know it was Einstein that said, the most important decision that we'll ever make in life is the type of universe we live in. Is it hostile or friendly?
Yeah.
And that really is, I think that, because that colours every other decision that we make. And most children have made that decision before they're 7 because of the experiences that they've experienced.
Yeah. It's incredible. Oh, there's a little bit of feedback going on. Let's hope that stops. I remember really clearly, I mean, if I think about my primary school up until the age of 11, the things that stand out, I think I might have mentioned this before, but the things that stand out to me, 2 things. One is when I was really involved in a project, my parents, with a lot of insight, I think, let me stay home for a day to complete it, not go to school. And I loved it. I was so happy because I was doing what I love to do and I wasn't having anybody telling me what to do. And it was just fantastic. Really enjoyed it. And the second thing was a teacher, I must have been 10 and I was a real bookworm at the time. And the teacher for that year group brought in 14 books and said, right, 2 weeks, I want these back and read. So in other words, read a book a day. And I did. That was a challenge you accepted, I'm guessing. I really did. But that was the thing, because what she was saying was, I've noticed you love reading. I'm going to now stretch you and give you a challenge and, to show that I believe in you. And that was the thing that was so important. It was a challenge in a way that was, well, it was empowering. I just wanted to do it. Yeah.
And she knew that. Sorry, you knew that she cared about you.
Yes. And she was interested enough to go to the trouble of going to the library and bringing her one of her daughter's books. And she'd gather together 14 and she lent them to me. And I just handed them back at the end of that 2 weeks.
Yeah. And people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Well, that's true. Yeah, and as a child, you just know that in your bones. You can't necessarily verbalize it. A lot of what you were saying about sort of everything goes into the unconscious, I think that's so true. You don't have the filters. You just know what you feel. Yeah.
And I do quite a lot of coaching, or I've done quite a lot of coaching for many years. And most of the problems problems, obstacles, limiting beliefs that we have as adults are rooted in our childhood. Yeah. So when I coach the adult, I normally coach the child.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We've all got programs that hold us back.
We all have. I'm just going to show you this. I don't know whether you can see that. Oops.
Vaguely, yeah.
Vaguely. Well, it's one of the illustrations in the children's book I've written. I'm just looking around to see. Oh, I have got a copy. Excuse me, I'm just going to go to get a copy.
Oh, you must.
It's we go back again. So the book that I've written, the novel I've written for children's, Cocoon, is basically the kind of story I would have loved to read when I was a child. It's full of it's adventure, but it's not fantasy. It's not too much of a fantasy, but it's imaginative. And the key theme that comes through is emotional intelligence, because the two boy heroes have to they have to, it's a hero's journey in effect, and they have to kind of in order to get through the obstacles and succeed in the mission that they're given, they have to deal with their feelings.
Okay, fantastic.
So they go from panic and fear to courage, and how they learn how to do that. They learn how to consciously do that. So, my passion from my end is to sort of offer that to children, and the children who've read the book I know that it's almost like they say, oh, I really like the story and I really like the characters and I really but that on some level it's gone through. Sometimes they say it and sometimes you can just see it in them.
Yes. I too was an avid reader when I was a child, up until the age of about 12 or 13, I guess. But I used to I could get lost in books for days. And the books are so brilliant for the imagination, aren't they? To stimulate the imagination.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
And if you read a book and then there's a movie made of it, the film's always a disappointment. It's never as good as the book.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, it depends, I think, on a lot of things. But yes, I agree with you. And also, when you read a book, you've got your own views on what that character looks like and sounds like, and you've got your own internal sort of, sense of what it's like. I mean, for me, it's really interesting, actually, having this kind of whole landscape that I sort of created, and then sitting at the kitchen table of the wonderful illustrator who's Helen Ganley, who's actually now 82. Wow. So she's got a real old school flavor. I mean, the drawing that I showed you, it's absolutely old school, as you can probably see.
Yeah.
And Helen is just wonderful. And she read the book 3 times and she was constantly trying to get into my head. So what do you see? What do you see? How does it look? And I mean, it's wonderful. But this is a sort of, I mean, we all have our own inner landscape, don't we? And how we see things.
We're all unique. We're all unique.
Yeah.
That's why we shouldn't conform. We're not meant to fit in. We're meant to stand out.
No, I know. Well, I can't fit in. I'm hopeless.
No, I'm not
fitting in.
But I fit in a treat now, so that's okay.
You what?
I said I've never fit in either. I've always been, a misfit, a maverick, whatever. But I fit in a treat now.
Yes, but into the things you want to fit into. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Let me ask you one thing, Charlotte. You mentioned emotional intelligence a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Emotional intelligence or academic intelligence, which do you think is the most important?
Oh God, emotional intelligence.
Absolutely, 100%. I agree.
Yeah. Because I mean, yes, there's no question about it. I mean, children want to learn, and they don't know the difference between emotional intelligence, academic intelligence, this, that, and the other. They just don't really know. They know what they like, and they know what lights them up, and they know what they're interested in. And that's it. Just let them. I mean, I'm a real believer in what would you call it? Child-focused learning. So that if a child shows interest in something, that they should just be given free rein. So that, you know, when my parents allowed me to kind of stay at home and go and really dig into my project, that was it. That was exactly it. And that day, sort of, I've never forgotten it.
No, clearly. I was just thinking, because my mother was a bit of a tyrant when it came to going to school. You know, and I almost had to have a leg hanging off before she'd allow me to have a day off.
Yes, but I mean, my parents were too, but this was a one-off. And I think it just shows how important it was for me, that child-focused education on that one particular day.
Yeah. And it's really stuck, hasn't it? You know, that memory.
Yep. Yeah. And and if I go back, it's the feeling. It's the feeling of it was magical. It was completely magical because I could do what I wanted for that day. And when
how old were you then? Did you say 11?
That particular thing, I was 9, I think then.
Okay.
9 or 10. Yeah.
Okay. Fabulous. Let me just tell you a quick story about my daughter. You know, I used to bring her. She used to come to my spiritual workshops and stuff, but she's a singer-songwriter, and I think she's really good. You know, all she's ever wanted to do is make music, and she got a really eclectic taste in music from the 60s onwards. She's a collector of vinyl records, and she particularly does love 60s music. And her favourite band from the 60s is the Kinks, who sang famously Lola. Yeah, and she really wanted to get hold of this vinyl Lola. So about 3 years ago, when she was 15, she went on a school trip, and can't remember where they went, but they stopped in Shrewsbury on the way back, and lots of charity shops in Shrewsbury. So her and her mates went, you know, round the charity shops looking at the vinyl albums, and she saw one by the Beach Boys, and she also likes the Beach Boys. So she bought this album, got it back on the coach, took the vinyl out of the album sleeve, and guess what it was? It wasn't the Beach Boys.
What was it?
It was Lola by the Kinks.
Lovely.
That's amazing. I think that's, you know, the source had delivered what she wanted to her, but in a really unusual way.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of, it's what you were saying before about how we're all so unique as people. And if we're really not encouraged to conform as children, if we're allowed to be who we are, we'll get the nerdy kids, we'll get the creative kids, we'll get the sporty kids, we'll get and ones who just love to do everything and are just, you know, we'll get so many different people. And then what happens and where do they go? It's just so interesting, isn't it? What can happen?
It is, and you know, my initial thoughts, and I'll stand to be persuaded otherwise on this for my children's foundation, is that they'll be you know, constant living in the same house until probably about 10 or 11, and then move on to a different house, which will also be purpose built for older children and teenagers, because obviously the needs of young children are completely different to the needs of older children. But I want to get that consistency, and including with staff as well. I want staff who are going to stay around for a while.
Yeah. Well,
You
I
know,
mean, they do stay around if they love their jobs and they get remunerated. You know, that's the thing. It's like anything, isn't it?
yeah,
And you get that consistency, and the people who love children as well.
yes, yeah.
And so
And I've said that. Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, who will the children be? Why will they be coming to these care homes?
Haven't worked that one out yet totally, but we'll actually, we won't do it on our Zoom meeting tomorrow. We'll do it at a physical meeting, which will happen in the near future.
Yeah.
But the Zoom meeting tomorrow, we're just going to get to know each other's strengths and weaknesses to see where we've got gaps, and see where where we've got real strengths.
Fantastic.
And I'm not interested in what qualifications people have got.
No.
I'm only interested in what's in their heart.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was just thinking, I mean, are the children who come to your care homes, I suppose, I don't know enough about the care home system at the moment to know why people go there.
You don't really want to know too much about the care home system as it is at the moment. It's diabolical.
Yeah.
I know that from experiences that some good friends of mine have had with social services. It's diabolical. So it just needs to be completely my philosophy is don't try to fix something that's completely bust. Build something new. So we're going to build something new.
Yeah.
And I haven't got most of the answers yet, but I know I will have.
Well, that's the best way to be, isn't it? I suppose children who, for whatever reason, either if they're orphaned or if something happens to the parents or the parents have problems or whatever, there must be a whole load of different reasons why children can't be in their own family unit. And also there's been so much disruption of the family unit over the last 50 or so years. It's really shocking.
Sure.
So, yes, I mean, when I was young, my parents fostered a girl from we were in Chester. I was brought up in Chester, and so we fostered a girl there who was 11 when she first came to us. She came on Sundays, and it was lovely. I'm still in touch with her now. It's really, really nice. She was much older than me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, it's a very important relationship, very important. And what was really lovely to see, she was with us, let me just think, 11 to 14, and then my parents moved to the other side of the country, and it absolutely threw her, poor girl. I mean, there's nothing they could do. They felt terrible about it because it was that feeling of, the inconsistency for her, which was horrible. But she came to stay. She came on holidays with us, and I mean, I was a bridesmaid at her wedding, actually. So there was a kind of, it's lovely. And last time I saw her was a few years ago, but she still makes contact with my mum, and she's still really, I mean, my mum was terribly important to her. And interestingly, when I saw her with her own children when they were very young, they're all adults now, and she's a grandmother, but when they were very young, I could see my own mother's mothering in her. She'd picked it up because she'd seen us as very young children, and she'd seen the way that my mother had been with us, and she'd just sort of learned and imitated. It was lovely, really lovely, and she's been a fantastic mother.
Whereabouts in Chester did you live, by the way? Because I used to live in Chester.
Did you?
I lived in Crystleton.
Oh, Crystleton. Oh, yes. Well, my sister lives in Crystleton now.
Okay.
So, yeah, lovely. That was lovely. No, we lived in the centre, but a lovely place. Such a lovely place.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. It's really lovely. I think it's fantastic what you're doing, Mike. I just think it's absolutely brilliant. And the fact that you've got a team together so fast, and you've got so many ideas and so many things that you want to do. I can't wait to see how it materializes.
So looking back on my life, everything that I've done that I've been proud of, I did very quickly and effortlessly, like it came through me, almost like it came through me, Charlotte,
Yeah.
not from me. And you know, this has been effortless as well, which tells me it's the right thing to do. You know, sources, you know, directed me, and this project I've had in mind for 18 months now.
Wow.
And I do believe that the funding is just about here.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, I just cross all my fingers and my toes for you, Mike. I just hope it really, I'm sure it will. I have no doubt. I just sort of...
I've got no doubt whatsoever. And I don't believe in luck either. We make our own luck.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Oh, well, you're going to have to keep me in touch about how you do and how it all goes ahead.
I will. Of course I will.
That'd be fantastic. And are you still looking for people to join your team?
Oh, yeah. If anybody, you know, is interested, drop me an email. Mike Shinton 50, MikeShinton 50 at outlook.com.
I'll put it down. I'll put it down in the description underneath. So
thank you. And that email was a true reflection of my age 15 years ago when I made it.
What's age, eh? What's age?
I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
I was 55 2 days before Charlie's event, actually. And what is supposed to be like at 65? I don't know.
Same thing you were like at 64, I would say.
I still look at the world through, you know, 30-year-old eyes, really.
Yeah. Oh, it's lovely. It's so good to hear all of this, and loads of luck, and I hope it goes really well. And thank you so much for joining me on this show.
It's been my absolute pleasure and privilege, Charlotte. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of the evening.
Thank you. You too.